All right, so I'm going in with some of my other details. I'm going to turn my pencil on its side because that is how one trick that I have learned to help me not press so hard. I'm going to work on this nose here using some different values. One thing to know about a nose, the biggest mistake I see students make with noses is they go in and they draw this heavy outline to their nose. How about you just shade around the nose to start? I'm going to be shading in about an 8, level 8 or a level 7, okay? So I'm going in with those little details around the nose. See how I've got like a level, maybe a 1 or a 2 highlight in here. So it's the area around that highlight that is shaded. And it is shaded at about an 8, okay? And then when I go into that little nostril there, I am gonna have a little bit of a 9, little bit of a 10 in there, okay? It is not, the whole thing is not completely dark. There is a range of value in there. So again, like a level 9 and a level 10, all right? Now, oh man, I made a mistake. I'm not really getting the full size here. Kind of want to bring it a little bit closer over here. And then I can see that her little nostril is not quite as dark on the right-hand side. And when I do those nostrils, I'm just going to try to go in lightly, and then I can go in with my other details, okay? All right, so I'm going to erase on my portrait just a little bit. If you erase on your portrait, you have to be real careful because your eraser will pull off the ink. Okay, so let's look at our nose here and where all of those little shadows are. And that's going to be really important for you. I'm going in with more of a level 5 here to start, and I'm going to blend this all later. This is where a Q-tip comes in handy. So what I'm doing is kind of looking at my different level 5s, and I have some highlights in my nose here that are going to be really important to pay attention to later on. But right now, I want to try to get a little bit of those shadows, and later on I'm going to be blending those so it makes more sense. Right now I'm just getting a little graphite on my paper and trying to focus on the different shadows that I see, okay? Right now that doesn't look very natural, but it's not blended yet. It's not blended yet, and that's why you're going to be using a Q-tip to help you blend. And if you find that your Q-tip is really making things harder for you, you could always borrow one of these blending stumps from me. If you take the time to come up here at school, I can get you one, or you can go to the store and buy one. So I'm just kind of jumping around here and doing a lot of different details. I'm trying not to go too dark. Like this side is a little too dark for my taste when it comes to that eyebrow. Okay, so it's gonna lighten up a little bit more later, and then do some shading around here. Like I said, I'm going to be blending all of this later on. I have a little bit of shadows in here. Those shadows under the eyes and under the nose, those shadows are what are going to make it look realistic. I have not blended it yet. Right now, I'm just getting a little graphite on the paper. Is it going to stay like this? No, it's going to get blended and will make a lot more sense later on. So where's my blending stump? And you have a Q-tip at home you can use. I'm working on this little shadow underneath the eyes. Those little shadows are very natural. They're really important to show. Those shadows are what make us look realistic, and that is showing those natural shadows that those little wrinkles that we all have. So those little wrinkles that even you young people have, my young daughter has, are important to show because they are details that we have on our faces. Everybody has it. And the important thing here is that she is smiling. Because she is smiling, we're going to see a lot more little wrinkles. Now again, I went a little too dark here, so I'm just doing a tap, tap, tap with my eraser. So I'm not pulling too much paper off, and just try to kind of fix those little details. Okay, so I'm gonna use my blending stump here, and it's gonna just kind of blend a little bit better for some of those details that I was working on, like the nose, okay? I want this to look natural. I do not want to see heavy outlines, okay? That's important. If you stood your pencil up like a soldier and you pressed hard, you're probably looking at right now a portrait that looks more like a cartoon. Cartoon characters have outlines. People do not have outlines in reality. Okay, so that's an important thing to remember, that if you at any point during this portraiture assignment are sanding up your pencil and pressing hard and giving yourself hard outlines, then you have probably set yourself up to have a more unrealistic portrait. Okay, so I'm just adding in some graphite, and then I can always go back in and blend it some more later. And then if I've gone in a little too heavy, I can go back and take my eraser and just tap, 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 tap that page so I'm not going too heavy. And I'm just gonna remove a little bit of that graphite because I got a little too heavy there. And I like to show you guys, you know, when I make little mistakes, I want you to see what I do to fix it, because that's common, especially for a beginning art student. Okay, the ways that I'm making this nose look realistic is by showing all those little shadows. I'm not doing heavy outlines. And then I'm going to go in and just do little bits of shadows in here as I see them. You can always fast forward through my demonstrations just so you're able to kind of get the information that you want and then get going. You're not expected to sit and watch my slow tutorial step by step. I want you to be able to speed through, which is a really nice thing about me just recording these videos for you. Got a little heavy with my eyebrow here, and it seems like I made it a little too thick, so I'm just gonna shrink it down a little bit. I'm making adjustments as I see the need to do that. Also keep in mind that those little hairs on those eyebrows, pay attention to the direction that they're going, you guys, because what I see, and I've told you already before, is I see students that start, you know, just going crazy with the eyebrows and making these really unnatural lines. And the lines that we see, if you feel your eyebrows, or look into the mirror and look closely at what you see, they go towards the side of the face. Usually right up here near the eye is where we tend to see some of the details. I'm just going in with a level 1, kind of a level 2, to show some of the hair, the beginning phases of that hair. So what I was saying is right up here by the eyes where you tend to see eyebrow hair stand up straight. The rest of the way, they usually go towards the side of the face. So I'm drawing with my blending stump at this stage, and that's okay. You will find that if you have a blending stump, that's real helpful. If you do have a blending stump at home or you purchase one, you also want to use some sandpaper. Sandpaper will sharpen or smooth out your blending stump. I have some really dark shadows right here. I'm gonna have to go back in with a eraser, but that's okay. I'm gonna go ahead and continue what I'm doing right now and just blending these areas around here. Make it look natural. So if you have a blending stump at home, you will find that your blending stump is probably gonna need to be sharpened at some point. So I get sandpaper and I just rub the side of my blending stump on the sandpaper. Now her chin is about a level, we have a few different levels of value in there. I'm looking for the highlights, the 1s, the 2s are right in here, okay? It's gonna be real light. And then as we get to the underside of the chin, that's where we see our 3s. So what I have done now is I've shown that the face that I'm trying to draw here is round and realistic. It is not flat, outlined. These shadows along the side of the face are going to be key to making her look realistic. Another detail to kind of pay attention to is your background. So as I start working on the background later on, there are, as we pointed out earlier in my other video, see those level 1s in there, 0s in there where you have the white paper showing through? Those are important to making that hair, that head stand out. So I want you to kind of pay attention to that. Oh, look, back here we have some, I would say 8s, 9s, a little bit of 10s in here. Those are making our highlights stand out. So that's really important to pay attention to. So right now I've already kind of started putting some of the hair in. I'm just doing a little bit of shading real lightly. I'm still gonna go in with some fine details, but this is just kind of getting some values on the page and getting it ready for all of that fine detail. So those ears have a lot of highlights in them. So far right now, I'm just kind of working on blending all of the darker areas just to make it look natural. It's a work in progress. It is not done. I'm not done with that nose. I'm not done with any of those details, but it's starting to come to life. And that's what I want you guys to be able to do. So you have a Q-tip at home, and that Q-tip should make shading a little bit easier for you. If you're getting frustrated by that, you can always take a paper towel and you can roll it into a fine point and use that to help you do that blending. All right, thank you for watching, and I'll add another video shortly.